It still just amazes me that ADA's performance continues to play out to perfection, just mimicking exactly what it did last market cycle. Even as we've gone through this retracement in the market, both ADA dominance and the ADA BTC chart have been acting exactly as they should, which has been a great sign. But what I'm really focused on now, apart from that, is what the big money in the space is doing. Is it flocking into the market or is it running away? And it's doing the former. It is very heavily buying assets right now. In fact, ADA whales have been incredibly active over the last 24 hours. And I want to show you guys also something that I found very interesting. It has to do with crypto market inflows because they have been incredibly high. And guys, they aren't really slowing down. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So it's still in the wee early hours of the morning. It's only about 12:20 a.m. Central Standard Time. And right now, I don't really care about where prices is at because by the time this video even comes out, it's going to be drastically different. Like I talked about, things are not going to stay quiet for very long. But what I did want to mention is that the ADA dominance chart and the ADA BTC chart just continue to play out to perfection. Right now, ADA dominance, we were talking about that ascending triangle that was building. We did fall out of that the other day. And now we're getting a little bit of a bounce back here. I will say on the weekly chart, we're sitting right on top of that 50-week moving average. So this is a perfect spot to be before our 100-week moving average retest. And what's interesting is if we look back at last market cycle, this is kind of what we were doing at the exact same point. We were bouncing around. We were trying to wait for that extension. And, maybe that comes this week. Maybe it's next week. Maybe it takes a little bit longer. But again, we're continuing to mimic exactly what we did at that point. And what I have to say is that right now, the ADA BTC chart showing very similar signs. We got a rejection on that longer term trend a few days ago. We came down, retested our 20-day moving average. Nice bounce off of that right now. And guys, things just it's just incredible that they continue to track so perfectly with what we've done before. And that should obviously give you a lot of confidence about where ADA may in fact be heading. I'm not saying it has to play out perfectly, from here on out, but it's a pretty big sign. Conviction is really high. And I will say that, right now, what we've been seeing is the same signs we have been seeing throughout this market cycle. And that is that there has been this heavy accumulation and hoarding of ADA. In fact, over the last 24 hours, ADA whales scooped up another 100 million ADA. Not really surprising. And this is between ADA holders that hold between 1 million to 100 million tokens. So you guys can see, obviously, they had sold off all the way back here. When was that? That was right at the start of August as we were going on our correction. And they've been slowly but surely adding back. And guys, they absolutely took advantage of this dip. It's not really surprising, right? Because we're like we were talking about just yesterday, the time for cheap ADA is very quickly running out. Guys, we're running out of time in this market cycle. You might think you have forever. You don't. Here's a really big sign of that. So Ali Charts posted this and said crypto market inflows fell 24% in the last 3 weeks. Now it's 66.5 billion. And yeah, that's a number that is down. But what you need to notice here is that these inflows into the crypto market are setting higher and higher and higher lows. Capital is actually flowing in faster to the crypto market. Institutional players, despite this being an ugly dump week, they're having some of their biggest weeks of both trading and accumulation they've ever had. Whales now have some of the largest holds in the market they have ever had because what they're doing is obviously, we've talked about the manipulation. They're trying to get retail to capitulate and they're just building out their positions before we get into mass adoption, before we have crypto legislation signed, before we get, the big accelerant, which could in fact be rate cuts or the shift to quantitative easing, whatever it might be, right? They're just buying and buying and buying. And that's why right now, me personally, I'm not doing anything. All right. I'm not dumping any of my positions. I'm buying when I can. I'm just making sure that I'm prepared because it's very clear what the market wants to do. It wants to get into big adoption. It wants to accelerate in a way that we have not seen before. And that's where, again, I just have so much confidence in the world with what Cardano has built. Like I've said many times, the later part of this market cycle is when we should see the big DeFi adoption take place in terms of Cardano. That was really when we can see ADA demand increase just because of network usage, because of midnight adoption, right? And obviously that time is approaching very quickly, guys. So that's what I wanted to share with you. It's very exciting to see this take place. And again, hopefully these trends continue. We could obviously have shifts at any point, at any time in the crypto market. We've seen that before, but the wind just seems to be blowing in our sails right now. And hopefully this is something that can very shortly lead us to some much more significant price appreciation. But I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.